Hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Transportation and Traffic Safety Advisory Committee. Today is August 10th, 2023, and it is 6:01 p.m. We will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. Let's have a moment of silence for Mr. Fred Dickey. Thank you. This time we'll do the roll call. Raul Reyes. Absent. Vacant District 2, vacant District 3, 4, 5. Jorge J.D. Delgado.
Present.
Ciro Gonzalez, present. Carla Maria Flores.
Present.
We do not have a quorum, okay? So you guys okay to go ahead and proceed? We have somebody here who wants to. We cannot do the approval of minutes. General citizens communication, I believe we have somebody here.
Yes, we currently have Mr. Juan Carlos Escalera from JC's Taxi.
Please step forward. No problem. State your name, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Juan Carlos Escalera. Bear with me the first time I ever talked in front of important people. Good evening, my members of the committee. My name is Juan Carlos Escalera. I'm the owner of JC's Taxi. I come to you with a problem I've been having with Belinda Rivera and Norma Ramirez. In 3 minutes, I cannot explain all the runarounds and hard times she has been giving me. That's why I'm requesting a meeting with all the Transportation and Traffic Safety Advisory Committee. The problem is reference of how the new taxi permits initially applications is being processed. Ms. Ramirez abusing her power of authority toward my business. Due to this runaround that she has been giving me, I had to go and get open public records to prove to the committee that she has not processed the application fairly. All of this is the result of me going to complain that the taxi permit lottery was not legit. Out of 48 participants, only 37 were in the lottery that took place. 11 individuals were left out. I was one of them. That's why I'm requesting a meeting with all of you as soon as possible. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that needs to speak?
I believe that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Do y'all have any questions? Thank you, sir. So we can't do the approval of minutes. Communication?
So, Mr. Chairman, let me add, I guess, as a follow-up to our last meeting, we did have a lottery for the taxi cab permits. That was, I guess, we had made a selection and we realized it was an error. There was an error in the process. So we ended up determining, or we ultimately issued all 48 permits for everyone that applied to the lottery. So now we're up to par with according to population. So now we're in the process of having all of these permits registered. They're going through the process, and this hasn't been done for over 20 years, so it's a learning process, and we're realizing, you know, a lot of issues with the process, and so we'll have more information on results as during the next meeting. Okay. So
of those 48, if they don't qualify, are you still filling in those slots, like, or how would that work?
No, they revoke them. They'll surrender them if they don't follow through, and it is a little bit tedious of,
Yeah, I can imagine.
so, they have to decide to ultimately surrender the permit if they don't want to follow through with the process. And then I don't think we have one that is registered at this time from the 48 that have been issued. So we're going to figure it out.
Okay. Is there a deadline for them?
There is.
Okay. There's a deadline? Okay.
Yes.
What is that deadline?
September the 1st or the 11th, I can't remember. 60 days from the date that we had the the date that we had the meeting was July the 13th, 60 days from there.
So 60 days from that day.
Yes. The 11th, September the 11th.
So we're looking more or less September 11th, probably prior to our next meeting, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay. We'll be able to get an update of who registered, who didn't, who backed out and all that.
How many have complied with all the requirements and how many didn't?
Okay.
So in this particular instance, did that person not fill all the requirements for their permit, or?
No, we don't have one person that has fulfilled all requirements, so.
Anything else? You guys? Thank you. Any additional comments on communication?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Staff reports?
Mr. Chairman, we have a couple of updates for you. One being the Anna Avenue one-way. And so I have Mr. Jeffrey Gonzalez get you an update on that. It was presented at the prior meeting.
Hey, Jeff.
Good evening. Jeffrey Gonzalez from Traffic Safety. Yes, we're presenting the update firstly about the Anna Avenue one-way pairing. This is what we presented last time, essentially what we were planning to do with the pair of Anna, East and West Anna. East Anna going northbound, West Anna going southbound. The eastern side of each road or each street is going to be a no parking along with signs, as well as the installation of 4 speed humps in the area. This map is showing we ourselves went out to the location to knock on the doors of the citizens to see if they were in approval or an agreement with the installation of the speed humps and the implementation of the one-ways. And from what we found, about 28 of them, of all households on there, are in agreement. Only 2 were not in agreement, while around 28 they just they were not at home or they never answered.
Okay, total of how many? Do you have that?
Not counting the ones where they're not lived in or they're just not part of like for instance, the block of Gonzalez. That entire lot is owned by one person up here. So it would be about a total of 58 houses.
58 households? And of those 58, 28 were for?
Or for it, sir.
Or
Yes.
for 2 were against,
Yes, sir. So it's
28 pending, or no answer, correct?
no answer or just were not at home at the time.
Okay. Do we follow up with those additional 28, or is it already, we go with this survey and we're good?
I can answer, Mr. Chairman. So, in addition to knocking on doors, we have a total cost estimate for the project. which we've already presented to council, the council member. And so at this time, we're looking for funding to fund the project so we can move forward.
Okay, thank you.
This is the breakdown of the costs that, for the planned project. The speed humps are around 3,000 per speed hump. This cost includes any of the materials that make up the speed hump, the paint that we use for it, as well as the labor costs for both public works and traffic safety. So that would total to about $12,000 for the speed humps themselves. As for the one-way pairing, this is a breakdown of any of the signs that are going to be installed along both sides. The sign cost for the signs is broken down into the pole as well as each individual part that makes up the assembly. The labor costs is calculated by the hourly wage that we pay our workers during a single workday. And the ones that actually work with 2 to 3 workers are working on the assembly and the installation of these signs. And they install around 7 to 8. So that's how we calculated the estimated cost for that one. The signs also have a cost for concrete. And we estimate that cost by pallet, which we get around 50, 40-pound bags with a small credit fee.
Okay.
And that's what goes into the bag of concrete part. In total, that would go around 19,000 after rounding it up.
After all said and done. So it's just waiting for approval from city council for the funding?
That is correct. We're waiting for the go-ahead and an account number.
Okay. So if we had a quorum there, we don't need to vote on, we don't need to do anything on it, correct? Basically information.
This is informative. We're good to go.
Awesome.
If we had a quorum, we'd appreciate any comments.
Okay.
Other than that, this is the map for where the signs are going to be installed throughout it, the project area.
Sorry, can we go back?
Yes.
More or less, do you know when the start date is on that?
Again, it depends on the funding, yes.
Okay, sorry.
The signs are going to be installed, the layout for where the speed humps are, and essentially just how it would, the direction of each of these streets. And this one going southbound along West Anna, this is the northbound direction on East Anna, as well as where we're gonna put the signs for the no parking.
Okay.
The red line does not indicate we are going to paint along the curb, though. And
Is there like an education process? In other words, we go live on it, we just put it out on the news, or, how do we notify everybody in that neighborhood that, hey, starting today, this is a one-way this way, this is a one-way this way? And then it's gonna be policed by.
I think we started the process by knocking on doors and visiting with them.
That's step
And
one.
so we've had multiple attempts. We've had our inspector go out there initially with poor results. And then, so we had staff, the girls were out there in Jeffrey and they were knocking on doors. And so they got back some really good results.
Yeah.
And they were able to explain the whole project to the residents. So that's where we're at.
Okay.
It's a good project.
Is there a deadline for the residents to respond?
We're receiving comments as they come in. And if we receive more, we'll address them as they do.
Okay, but there's no deadline for them
No.
to, yeah.
No, it'll be some time before we can order materials and start installation. The speed humps are on a schedule with Public Works, and so it could take a couple of months before something happens.
Yeah. Probably by not the end of the year. Possibly.
Approximately.
Okay.
that's the update for this particular project. Everyone.
Thank you, Jeffrey. So we have that second staff report, which is a new project in District 6 along Winfield Parkway. So we have a conceptual proposal for traffic calming in the form of speed tables. So I'll let Jeffrey take it away.
It's all yours.
I'm stealing his thunder.
This project is essentially along the lines of Winfield Parkway, going from Loop 20 all the way down to Delmar. We already installed a always stop along Winfield and
There you go.
what's Estate Drive a couple months back. That was to help out anyone going from the neighborhood to the park or the little mailboxes that they have there. The always stop did help, but having a bit more, there were still speed problems as shown. Let's see, here we go. This was the traffic data that we got from from a study onto Winfield, and this is just going in the northbound direction. From what we found, people are speeding around 40 on average, with extremely high volumes, going around upwards into 4,000 or 5,000 vehicles per day. So going northbound and southbound, they're all going around average 40 miles per hour. So in order to almost mirror what was done on Alexander, which is just across from Winfield, we'll be putting speed tables in order to reduce those speeds and make it a bit safer along Winfield. There's going to be about a total of 9 speed tables, 5 on the southbound direction and 4 in the northbound direction, being placed around more of the straightaways of the Winfield.
Can you explain the speed tables?
A speed table is a concrete version of a speed hump, but
Okay.
unlike speed humps, which are more of a yes, speed tables are a ramp up flat and then a ramp down instead of an actual hump. An example you could see is the one on San Isidro, by the park area.
Okay, thanks, Jeff.
Let me just add to that. So the speed table provides for a faster moving or a heavier, larger vehicle emergency response. So that's what we're concerned with. The higher volumes and the types of vehicles they're going to be maneuvering through here, where an asphalt parabolic speed hump is more severe, and the speed table provides a more gradual sloping, but yet traffic calming effect. So that's what we're looking for. And so yes, as Jeffrey mentioned, we did implement a speed table project in Alexander subdivision, and it was very successful. It was well received. It's doing its job. We're going to come back around within a year and reevaluate it, and hopefully have a success story. And similarly, the council member in this district, 2 separate districts on either side of Del Mar. So council member in District 6 has observed this and wants to implement the same. For this reason, we've collected all this information.
Do you know what was the average slowdown speed on that in the Alexander area? On average?
We would need to conduct another study if it's requested. In order
Yeah,
to-
and I was just wondering, because we already have them there, I was wondering, what was that success story of mirroring that same operation?
Yeah, we hope to have that in a year. We're gonna let it run for about.
Let it run its course,
Yeah,
and then
we're gonna
get the
come
data.
back and evaluate it.
Okay.
Other than the speed tables, we will also be implementing another always stop at Winfield and Kirby, I believe that's it. Yes, Kirby Drive, up here. This is where the school is located, and It would help with both the traffic volumes that are actually going into the school and coming out, as well as preventing any, or slowing down the vehicles that are coming from the Loop 20 down southbound.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I could add something. With the data that we collected, we observed that the southbound is a little heavier than the northbound, which would suggest that cut-through traffic through this roadway. So we're getting picking up a lot of traffic off of the loop, cut through the Winfield Parkway to access Del Mar. And so this project will help alleviate some of that, I hope, or maybe discourage that.
Yeah.
It would also help alleviate some of the crashes that have occurred on Winfield Parkway. Both the all-way stop and the speed tables should help reduce them. This is a map which shows the different crashes that have occurred throughout Winfield. Over here at Kirby, you'll notice that there's a number of crashes that have occurred there, as well as along certain straightaways going down all the way to Del Mar.
Mr. Chairman, if I can add, shortly after preparing this proposal, we had a teenager crash into a tree, on a curve there. So that was just after we presented to the council member. So we can avoid, as Jeffrey mentioned, avoid crashes like that.
When does this start taking place?
Once, much like Deanna, once we get funding for it.
Is part of this project also that, I guess that north portion, north of the proposed all-way stop, is that part of it too? I saw like a conglomeration of like little triangles and just wanted to.
Loop 20 is TxDOT right away.
Okay.
So there's only so much we can do within that purview.
Well, let me add to that. As a result of the last city council meeting, we had a citizen come up and comment about Kirby. So we'll be looking at Kirby next for traffic calming, if that's what your question is.
And that's working in conjunction with the TxDOT? Or
No,
that's separate?
I thought you were talking about the Loop 20.
Yes.
I did mention.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did mention the always stop at Kirby and Winfield. Yes, we'll be implementing that. As for the Loop 20, again, that's more of a TxDOT right away.
Gotcha.
I see.
That's the updates for those two projects.
Well, appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeffrey.
Thanks, Jeff.
Anything else under the staff reports?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Discussion and possible action of following. We can take action. Discussion on proposal for parking annual fees on hotspot and non-hotspot meters. Can we just get an update on that? And we can't vote on anything, right? It's just more of a FYI.
Mr. Chairman, we have Miriam Castillo with Economic Development. She's the director. And they have a parklet project, which is going to impact our parking meters, as she'll explain. So we have Norma and Roger here as well, and we'll give you a little bit of information on this.
Thank you, Mr. Peña. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the Advisory Committee. Miriam Castillo, Director for the Economic Development Department at the City of Laredo. The Economic Development Department has been putting together several initiatives and programs that align with our vision and the work that we're doing with downtown and inner city revitalization. Our advisory committee has been working on this particular project, which is the parklets ordinance. And just to give you a very brief background information, back in 2020, the city launched a pilot program for parklets because of the pandemic, to allow businesses, because in the end, that's one of the mission of our department as well, to make sure that we're supportive of businesses. It was a temporary ordinance Our committee and our department has been working on presenting to City Council a permanent ordinance that's gonna help spur economic growth. And downtown is one of the areas that we're also focusing on. And in speaking with the traffic department director, we wanted to present to you a very brief recap on this program and the fees that are gonna be associated with the program. We understand and learning from the traffic department, there are certain areas that are considered hotspots, so we just wanted to present to you the fees that are gonna be included in the proposed ordinance. So very briefly, a parklet is an extension of pedestrian space that helps the public realm by converting street space to a use that serves people rather than vehicles, and parklets make cities more welcoming and people-friendly. They create people-oriented amenity in street space previously dedicated to vehicles, and I'm pretty sure, some of you may be familiar with this. In other cities, they have become very popular lately. The program objectives for this particular ordinance, and working as well with the traffic department, is to provide safe, comfortable, and useful spaces within the public right-of-way. And obviously also supporting businesses and spur economic growth as well in the areas where these parklets will be allowed to be established. So this is the fee schedule that we are presenting to you. The application fee is a non-refundable fee of $150, and then after that, it'll be an incremental annual fee for an introductory, for the effect of introducing this program and make sure that businesses take advantage of it. The proposed fee is $100 for the initial permit fee on year one, and then it's an incremental fee of $300, $500, and $800. And in checking, some of the other cities with a similar population as Laredo, this is within the range of another city in Texas that it's within the same population and, ordinance. And in speaking as well with the director of the traffic department, this is an ordinance that we want to make permanent. And hopefully the program will be successful, and it always allows for, amendments or revisions, or depending on how the program, works out. But it's one of the initiatives that we are putting together, and we thought, we would present this to you. It is my understanding that maybe the committee might want to make recommendations or not, but we wanted to work collaboratively with the departments that are going to be involved in this program.
I think it's a great idea. Have you met with all the folks downtown? Are they in favor of that? And then that application fee, it's a one-time fee, and then those permit fees or renewals are incremental every year until you get to the 800.
We haven't really introduced this as this hasn't been presented to
Okay.
council or approved or put into an ordinance. But I will tell you that there has been some feedback from, downtown property owners and even businesses that are already established in downtown. And, we haven't heard any opposition to it yet.
Right.
But quite frankly, it hasn't been fully introduced because it's not a permanent ordinance as of yet. But it's something that it's planned to be presented and brought before council. And like I mentioned, this is the whole idea about an incremental fee schedule is to also check how popular the program is and to entice people to make use of it. And obviously in also combining it with some other incentive programs that we could possibly put together.
Right.
But we understand that this is, this fee schedule could possibly, have an effect on the traffic department's budget, and we wanted to present this to you. I do want to stress that as the city continues to really focus on putting together programs to revitalize downtown and make sure that we offer this type of programs to businesses. We're doing some other initiatives as well that involve, some of the empty buildings that are in downtown, and hopefully with the combination of this type of programs, that could bring good.
So are y'all gonna do like a pilot program and then consider making it an ordinance, or or make it an ordinance and then let's go out and do it, or what's the plan on that?
So this was originally a pilot program that was introduced back in 2020, and then it was renewed or extended in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. But the intention is to make it a permanent ordinance, to where it's not
Nice.
just a pilot program, where there are necessarily no fees associated. We're putting together a guidebook, with the hows, the whens, the how to properly, plan for your parklet. And yeah, we just want to have a more concise, program that we can make permanent and that we can promote, And it's not going to be just, obviously downtown is the area that lends, for this type of programs. But yeah, other areas in the city might also have the ability to take advantage of it.
Okay. So what's the next step on that? 'Cause I like that. That's,
Well, now,
Like, this
now
is
the,
just, this is
now
a
the dark-
presentation
the
item,
dark
and I will
cloud.
defer to the director.
we're all looking that way.
Yeah, so the reason that Miriam is here is to present the negative aspects of this project. It's a great project, attractive.
It's not the negative, that's actually,
But,
it's a very.
no, that's not negative. It is the impact to our budget, and that's the only purpose, is to make you aware that we're looking at hotspot locations that bring them up to $3,000 annual revenue per parking space. So that's what this is. This is taking up a parking space that has a potential of generating $3,000 of revenue.
Uh-huh.
And so we lose that.
Okay. And the reason why you're going to the hotspot is because of the traffic versus going to a non-hotspot where it could generate additional revenue, or?
It's the nature of downtown.
It's the nature of downtown, and I know that Iturbide is one of the areas that it's considered a hotspot, and I believe there's 67 parking meters on Iturbide Street,
Yeah,
more or less.
we have some data, some maps that we could show you, and so we have a full inventory of all the parking meters. We know which meters are generating, what, and so, yes, E3 is a hot spot. And so more than likely, these are the locations where these parklets are going to pop up. And again, it's just the impact to our revenue. We're trying to keep our heads above water. And so Norma's ready to present her budget if you're interested. And just to show you where she's at and the condition of our parking enforcement division.
And really, the intent as well is a collaboration, because, obviously this program, even though it's under economic development and the impact that this program could have, that doesn't, it's a collaboration amongst departments that are going to have a direct, are going to be very crucial, right, in launching this program as well. So, yes, this was a presentation item. I understand that there's no quorum, but we wanted to present this to you and the program itself, and hopefully we'll be back to present you a more concise,
I think it's great. I think I would like to hear on the next step of maybe approaching all the vendors or all the stores, or everybody there, and get their input on it and what they would have to say.
Yes, once this ordinance is, it's made a permanent ordinance, there will be some sort of an outreach campaign to promote it and really try to make the best of it. But yes, the intention of this presentation was to present you the fee schedule that we're contemplating, and some of the fees that our Economic Development Advisory Committee, we're looking at as well. And the recommendations as well from our end as an economic development department, and
Right.
focusing on the mission that we have to promote economic growth.
I think I have one last question. I'll let them talk if they want. So now making that or removing those hotspots, is it going to generate more revenue on the non-hotspots for parking to get to those places?
Yeah, we'll have to learn. We'll learn after it's implemented.
Okay.
And I think we will learn a lot, within the first or second year of the program. Like I mentioned, there's always room for improving all the time and amending where amendments are necessary. But like Mr. Peña mentions, that's a possibility maybe, but we will learn, I guess, along the way.
Okay. What do you need from us? Just support? Yeah. Okay.
And that concludes, I guess, my presentation, Mr. Peña.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Castillo.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the open discussion. Yeah, she's out.
Okay, so, good afternoon. For the record, Norma Ramirez. I'm the parking attendant, superintendent for parking division and vehicles for hire. Okay, so parking division, I agree with you. It's a great program. I think it's awesome for the downtown area because we all wanted to improve it and bring more vendors to downtown area and
Right.
stuff. The only thing is that it will be affecting our budget. So that's what I'm here to present to you, that, as of we are right now, we're supposed to be 24 employees in parking division and vehicles for hire division. And as of right now, we're only, running both of the divisions with half of the staff. The reason for that is, we wanna save as much money as we can, to be able to survive. Parking division is its own enterprise, so whatever revenue we make, that's what we have to spend. So, we pay ourselves, we don't go into general, fund. Even permit division, the revenue, the little revenue that the taxi industry makes goes to general fund, and, we have to support them, support that little division. So, we have, out of the 26, we have 7 vacant positions that, I'm not allowed to fill because we will be on the red. And then, 2 unfunded, that I had to unfund for this, coming fiscal year. And then I had to delete 4, and that was just in an effort to help, our budget and to stay above water, like Mr. Peña mentioned, before we go into the red. Parking division used to be, almost a 3 million, revenue, income revenue. That was before the outlets came along and they needed parking, and they took over one of our main sources. The parking lot, I don't know if you're familiar, parking lot under the bridge, you know, next to the river. They used to make us, over $1 million every year. So when that was taken away, the $1 million went away too. So, on the chart that I gave you, it has, the expenditures, the revenues for 15-16. That was the last time that we had the parking lot in place. So if you see from 2000, 2 million, and a half, we are right now at almost, 1.5 million only. So it's that million that I'm talking about, on the revenues. We've done our best to save as much as we can, so we won't exceed on the expenditures, and that's the payroll savings that I was talking about. The profits in 15-16, it was 989,000, and, last fiscal year, we came out, negative in 27,000. And, we look at the savings that we had, almost $2 million. And as of last year, we only have 922 in savings. And, the proposed for next fiscal year, well, if we were to fill all the positions, we will be negative, the 200,000, and our savings will drop down to $729. Okay, so it's not only the parklets that will, badly, impact our budget, but, you have to take into consideration that, a lot of disabled people live here in the area. So whomever has a vehicle, if they have a disabled placard, disabled license plates, they occupy the meters and there's no charge because it's supposed to be free for them. And then we have sidewalk improvements that are coming in, and those are gonna take away parking meters also, okay? Then we have Convent parking lot, they're gonna make a renovation to the Southern Hotel, over here on Houston, and, no, not on Houston.
Matamoros
On
and
Matamoros,
Matamoros.
on Matamoros, and they're gonna take away our parking lot. So that parking lot was being leased, to city employees, to federal employees, and then, residents from the Hamilton, hotel. And now those are taken away. So I heard it's gonna be between 1.5 to 2 years before they finish the project. So, so that's gonna bring our budget down too. So maybe instead of the 219, it's gonna be even more. And, so eventually, if we keep at this rate, we're not gonna be able to support ourselves. And, either it's gonna dissolve or general budget will have to give us, to be able to survive. So if you look at the revenue breakdown, it's not only Iturbide Street, but if you look at the first one, it's Flores 206, that's on 200 block of Flores. That parking meter makes $3,766 every year. So the fees for the parklets, I don't think, yes, that's money that's coming into building, and it's a new revenue, and it's great. But the parking meters were not taken into consideration, so, we're losing all that money. And most probably, the parklets are gonna be on the hotspot areas. And if you wanna see the map, all the red spots are red hotspot meters, and all the blue are the non-hot spots. We have no parkings and we have loading zones. The no parkings is with the red line, and then the loading zones with the yellow line.
So having those parklets is gonna have a definite negative effect.
Oh, yes, yes. So, on the revenue report, if you see, we have 112 hotspot meters and 110 non-hot meters. So we figure out the revenue, including fines. So it's not only gonna affect meters, but it's gonna affect the fines, the revenue for the fines that are coming in. So for the yearly, from July 22 to July 23, that was $900,000. So if we do 75%, it's 1,319. If I go all the way down to 10%, it's $176, and we won't even be getting that. It's $100 for the first year.
Wow. On the fines revenue, is that collected fines or outstanding fines?
Well, it's everything that was given out, and we collected 70%. And then the 30% went to collections, which we expect to collect 100%.
Okay.
And then on the non-hotspots, the revenue for last year, it gave us 279, even though it's super slow. Some areas, they collect $1, $2, because they're not being used. But the average for everything was $279 per meter per year. So not even the 50% for a non-hotspot is $140 and not $100. So yes, it will be impacting us very, very highly. And then on the last one, it's only for the Iturbide, the 67 on Iturbide. So the revenue for the year is 63,000. So if we do 50%, it's $973, and that's not including any revenue from fines. I did not include revenue from fines here. Because we're only talking about Iturbide, and we only had like 2, 3 days to really work on all this information, to gather all this information.
So have we thought of putting those parklets, what do they call, on a non-hotspot, closer to a hotspot?
Well, it's because I think they want them on the hotspot.
No, really the purpose of this program, it's gonna be open, and I know we're focusing on downtown, but really the businesses in downtown, in all the streets, you know, they're gonna, you know, if there's a restaurant or, you know, a service, business that, you know, wants to apply for a parklet, you know, it could be Iturbide, it could be Salinas, it could be Grant, it could be, you know, as long as they follow, you know, all the standards and the requirements allowed by the traffic department. But I do want to point out one thing, and you just mentioned it, the fact that a hotspot, it may be, you know, removed because of a parklet. It also represents possible, and we won't know, we mentioned it, possible more traffic into downtown, which could generate more parking as well in other areas. The more businesses you have, the more people that will visit the area, and you know, it'll be, you know, one thing with another if this program is also successful. I wouldn't be able to tell right now, and like I said, you know, we won't know until the program is rolled over, but just keeping that as well, you know, and keeping that into account.
So if you have 5 vendors or in one block, right, do all 5 have to participate as being a parklet?
They don't have to, this is optional.
This is all optional.
Yes, and please, I mean, it'll be great if all the parking spaces, you know, and the parking meters are, apply for a parklet.
Right.
But we don't even know if that's gonna be the case, you know. I know we're considering as if all of the parking meters are gonna be taken over by this program. And although that will show a lot of success for the program, you know, that may not be the case either. You know, hopefully a lot of people, you know, because that's the whole idea, that we can increase traffic and business and economic growth in the area. But yeah.
And then what we see also is like Iturbide mainly has bars, so the parklets will be used like during the nighttime or after hours, whenever the meter is not, there's no charge for the meters. So the whole day, you know, the parklet's gonna be there. We're gonna have to either remove the meter, because we also pay monthly internet service fee of $6.95 for the meter. So we can't afford to leave it there. So either replace it with the coin operator only, or just the pole.
And I think a lot of the operational aspects of how the program will be run and how we're gonna be taking care of the security and safety issues, you know, and a lot of it's part of the guidelines and the guidebook that we're putting together, you know, I think, and those are, you know, valid points that need to be taken into account, working, you know, in conjunction with the traffic and safety department.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I actually have a comment too.
Okay.
I can understand.
State your name, please.
Hi, right here?
Yes, sir, that's fine.
Yeah. Charlie Martin's here. And I clearly understand her concern. It seems, after listening here a little bit, your parking lots, your parking spaces downtown is your total income, correct?
It
Yes.
seems that way, yes.
Yes.
And I can understand, and it's nice to see that you figured out where your hot spots are. And I understand that's really important to her, because that's their revenue stream, like any business. So she has a good point, but you need to work towards getting those non-hot spots hot. And you're not gonna be able to do that unless there's some economic activity.
Absolutely.
And I've seen these little areas in other cities where they've let the streets turn into, you know, access for people, and it seems to work. But, you know, another really strong point you have is there's really no competition for parking in downtown Laredo. you are the downtown parking business. There is no parking building that's operated by a private entity. So you've kind of, for now, you've kind of got a lock on it to where, you know, if there is an increase, you get the benefit. I'm not aware, right now of any big project that's coming soon that will boost, your non-hotspots. But I believe that business is improving a little bit downtown. And I think, you know, there is finally a little more activity. But you know, you don't have a downtown merchants association anymore. So it's really not an easy thing to try to figure out how to get your non-hotspots hot. But, and I hate to repeat that again, but if you don't, that's your only source of revenue and you're locked in. You're never gonna grow. You're never gonna achieve what she wants to do, which I think are good goals. But somehow, you know, there needs to be some kind of economic activity to help boost this thing to where she's not so concerned about that's our only revenue stream. Now, I don't know how y'all get your revenue streams or if you go to the budget hearings. I don't know if you can get any assistance from the city. But it doesn't look like private enterprise right now is helping you. Downtown's abandoned. So with little activity you all have there is saving them. So if you increase that, they get to grow bigger and stronger, which means your revenue stream will increase and you can hire people and take care of the cars that are parked and all that kind of stuff. But
Yes, sir.
those are just comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody say anything else?
No, believe me, I have nothing against the program. You know, I think it's a great idea. Unfortunately, you know, it affects our budget, and Mr. Peña's always after us, telling us that we need to increase it, and there's no way to increase it if they're taking away. So I just wanted to give you my point of view and look at the two sides of the story, right? Because it's great. I think I love the idea, and hopefully it works out. But if it does, then it's successful, it's gonna affect us even more.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Do y'all have anything else, sir? Anything else on the open
No,
discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
We can't even vote to adjourn, can we?
There's no more, just adjourn.
So we're gonna go ahead and adjourn. It is 6:54. Thank you.